Hello and welcome to the Vitamin Joy Tarot reading for Sunday, September 21st. I haven't gotten on here and done any video readings or messages from Spirit in a while. I am on the tail end of a head cold. I just came off of a little tour and we just had our Goblin Market here at Deep Earth Arts, which is in Littleton, New Hampshire, a witchy farmer's market that we host every few times a season. Our next one is Sunday, October 12th, but feeling really called to get on here and to offer a reading for us, for me, for you, to give us some clarity, to give us some insight. The world is a very strange place. I know I say that often, but man, is it really strange and peculiar right now. A lot of people with a lot of heightened emotions, a lot of people with uncertainty about the future, politics, all sorts of things going on in the world around us. So let's take a moment and sit, and I hope that I can give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of joy, a little bit of peace with the cards that I share with you right now. Now, this reading is going to come from my tarot deck that I created, my Vitamin Joy tarot deck. And what I'll do is I'm going to shuffle 3 times. We'll take a look at 3 cards. Those 3 cards will illustrate where we are collectively at the moment. Then it'll be what vexes and perplexes us, and it'll be what heals and reveals. So basically, where we're at, what's our challenge, what's our guidance. And if you are watching this, I want to set the intention that this is for you as well as it is for anybody else watching it, including me. So here we go. Where are we at collectively? We are the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This is card 10 of the major cards. The Wheel of Fortune talks about how fate, destiny, everything around us goes up, goes down. The pendulum swings back and forth. And the Wheel of Fortune, to me, speaks of something that I call the roulette wheel factor of this world. We often ask, why do bad things happen to good people? And why do good things happen to bad people? In this 3D reality of ours that we call Earth, there is a certain amount of chance and statistics. There is a variable, I think, that happens for everybody. I'm not a huge believer that everything happens for a reason. You won't really convince me that the 3-year-old who's dying of leukemia is being punished by God or destiny, that sometimes a random cell mutation happens and it's got nothing to do with fate or destiny. So while this is fate and destiny, it also reminds us that in this world, there's a certain amount of chance and circumstance that exists outside of that fate and destiny. So with this here, just know that we are at a big pivot point in our collective history. I think everybody feels that because it's almost like there's this sense of breath being held. And I bring that up because it's really important, I think, when things get heated and elevated, for us all to calm down, take a deep breath, take a step back, and think for a moment how certain groups or certain situations are given to us to manipulate us. And I'm not just speaking about people on the right, I'm speaking about people on the left. I see people of all political motivations and proclivities really out of control. We'll just say out of control. Out of control. And I just think that doesn't help us collectively, but I think it has a huge impact on that person's health. Okay, the next card is what vexes and perplexes us. That is the 10 of Wands. Okay, this is us carrying a burden, but here we have another 10. The 10 of Wands talks about, and this is why I put hands on here, it talks about us almost at the finish line. And I like to call this the spring fever card because many of us, when we get to the end of winter, we are kind of out of it. You know what I mean? We're kind of like a little sideways, a little cuckoo, because we've been cooped up inside. We need some green grass, some fresh air, some sunshine. That's spring fever. Well, the Ten of Wands talks about getting to the end of a cycle, carrying a burden that's so heavy, you sort of become a little disillusioned. I'm also reminded that, where there's a will, there's a way. So there's a certain amount of carrying energy on and forward into the world with this card. I think it's just really hard for us to carry everything. We all have our personal battles. We have our family stuff going on. We have community stuff happening. Then there's national stuff, global stuff. There's a lot for us collectively as humans to handle. Okay, it's a real pivotal time in our history. But let's take a look at the card that heals and reveals. The Three of Pentacles. This talks about teamwork, coming together, building together for the future with the wisdom of the past. You know that expression, and it's probably good for me to bring this up on a Sunday evening. You know that expression, as goes Monday, so goes the week. Okay. I can't imagine how many people are out there in the world waking up first thing in the morning, hopping on social media, getting elevated and outraged by what they're seeing, right, left, or center, and then how that just totally messes with their whole day. The Three of Pentacles talks about getting together with people, whether they are your friends, whether they are professionals like therapists or herbalists or psychics. This is all about coming together with loved ones to build a better future with the wisdom of the past. So it bears saying that as long as you do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. There are foreign powers in this world, the Russians, the Chinese, who are seeking to divide America. From my perspective, they're doing a damn good job. They're doing a damn good job. Will you allow yourself to be divided against your fellow neighbor? That's a big question I think everybody has to ask themselves. And when you lack emotional intelligence, and I'm using the grand you, the royal you, when we, the royal we, lack emotional intelligence, we will be manipulated and we will have incredible impacts on our mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. If you allow yourself to be stressed out by the things that you're exposed to, you are going to impact your body. So I would encourage you to use social media and the avenues available to you to stay informed with skill. Because if you are being manipulated into a place of outrage and offense, then you will absolutely pay the price. I like to maintain the 1,000-foot view. I like to look at things from a more sociological and historical perspective. I like to react rationally and intellectually with a sense of curiosity, with a sense of, study, how interesting all of the things around me are instead of how outrageous and angry they should be making me. Whenever I find myself being angry, I have to ask myself who benefits from that anger. Certainly not me. Certainly not my family. Certainly not my community. But who does? Because somebody's going to. And if you're not familiar with this, and I think most people should be, but a lot of people aren't, the social media platforms that we use are fueled by outrage. They want us angry. The more angry a post makes a person, the more it feeds into that algorithm. Learn about your algorithms and learn about how you're being emotionally manipulated. Again, I give this to the right and I give this to the left. Because your neighbors are not the monsters you think they are. They're not. So get together with people. Now, I'm going to pull one more card from my other deck that I've released this year, the Open Road Oracle deck. Very proud of this deck because I'll show you these cards. Down in the bottom of the corners are little arrows. And these cards are meant to actually take on a road trip. And so, you pull a card and go right, you pull a card, go left, you pull a card, go right. I want to shuffle 3 times and just get a card that offers us a little bit of clarity around this. How we can get together with loved ones, how we can hopefully build for the future. Because whether you realize it or not, you are building for your future with every action that you take today. So, just, I'll just be quite frank with you. It sucks to watch everybody be so hurt, be so manipulated, be so maneuvered and controlled by all of these narratives and this manufactured outrage. Doesn't take a psychic to tell somebody that it's going to get worse before it gets better. With that being said, let's take a look at the card from the Open Road Oracle deck. The Horizon Line. Dream big. So much more waits beyond what you see. When it comes to spiritual stuff, a great deal of the people that I serve are, how do I say, on the left, more liberal-minded, but I have served and I'm happy to serve plenty of people on the right because they're not the monsters that people think they are. And it's hard for me to even talk about this, but when we're manipulated by media, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and social media alike, we get divided and it's easy to dehumanize our neighbors and the people in our communities and around us. I refuse to be controlled. I refuse to dehumanize others. So with the Horizon Line, card 27, dream big, so much more waits beyond what you see. If you are frustrated by the current state of America, there's a lot more beyond that. And I like to think of all the people that are outraged and posting rage. When's the last time they hugged their loved one or told them that they love them or did a kind deed for someone or had a Sunday dinner or created art? It's almost as if all of this outrage becomes a person's identity. And I'm afraid of how people will regret the lives they wasted when they die. So let's read what card 27 means out of my guidebook here. The Horizon Line brings the message that your current view isn't the full picture. The road stretches further than your eyes can see, and your story floats onto pages you've yet to turn and yet to read. You're being invited to expand your vision and believe in possibilities that haven't yet come into focus. Keep the faith. If you're angry, do something with your anger. And remember that what goes up must come down. Fate, all of that destiny stuff, there is a certain element of that at work here in our world right now. But we gotta believe and have faith that something better is going to come out of it all. And that's what I believe is happening. Something better is going to come out of all of this mess. That's my belief and that's my hope. All my love to you. Thank you for being here and thank you for listening to this reading. I hope that you got something out of it. And again, I hope to be able to provide more of these video messages. I've been dealing with a little bit of burnout, just a ton of tasks, a ton of responsibilities, and a ton of trips and travel and all of that stuff. Thank you for being here. And if you've attended any of my recent shows or events, thank you for being at those. All my love, and I will see you next time.